Windsor with Windsor Law in Sarasota, and we're here today speaking with our client, Cara and regarding our work with her family and our process for helping a struggling student achieve academic success. Cara, tell us a little bit about your daughter and some of her struggles in school.
Well, Victoria has had challenges pretty much throughout her academic career in elementary school, as well as middle school, which became a really difficult couple of years for her. But then we moved to Florida and didn't really realize that she was going to have a very difficult time starting high school. She actually started high school twice, once in New York, and then we moved to Florida rather quickly, and she started school here a second time, high school, and from there we had lots of high hopes, but unfortunately too many things in her background caught up with her, and the academics just became very, very difficult for her.
Wow, that's when we came in. So was she doing poorly academically specifically, or were there other areas that you were also seeing that she might have also been struggling with?
Well, she started out with a really positive attitude for high school. So with that, both my husband, her dad, and I, we were very hopeful as well. But soon after she started high school here, and with all of the transition to Florida, leaving her friends behind, her brother had gone off to college. We had had a terrible entire year the prior year. She also had a medical condition throughout 7th and 8th grade that was very difficult for her and the entire family. And she ran up against a couple of teachers that weren't very nurturing, let's say, and she began to slip and slip and slip and slip. At the same time, she was also desperately trying to make friends because she had no friends in Florida. She had left all her friends behind in New York. So come to find out that some of the students, some of her peers that she had first met in Florida weren't necessarily the type of teenagers that she had hung out with prior, but they were the first ones to befriend her, and that was somewhat disconcerting and later on just very troubling for her father and I.
You know, and it's funny, a lot of people think that it's all about academics. It's not. The whole educational process is social, emotional, academic. When one starts to slip, very often they all start to slip. So this is common with a lot of the kids that we see. So what were you hoping to accomplish by hiring an education law attorney?
We were new to Florida, the entire state, so we had really not a lot of resources to lean on. We had a primary care physician that we found and we liked, but when it came to the actual academic side of things, and Victoria also ended up getting into some trouble because we didn't realize that this school had a very militant style when it came to code of conduct, and she wasn't used to that at all either, that she kept getting in trouble for things that she would never get in trouble for in her previous school. So when that started to happen, that along with the slipping grades and frustration with anything having to do with academics, we just started to reach out to folks that we knew that had connections here in Florida. And that was the first thing that we did, is we sought out an attorney, and we were able to locate you, thank goodness, because we're very pleased with the resources that you as an expert, but also the resources that you've put us in touch with.
Good, thank you. So that brought me to my next question. How have we guided you in this process? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but sometimes it's helpful when other parents are going, what am I going to get out of this? How is this going to help my child? I want to hear it from a parent.
Right. Well, when we first contacted Windsor Education Law, we were looking for legal advice mostly. However, come to find out that you provide advocacy as well. And that is something that is so needed for so many children, not just ours. But the advocacy side and the expertise that you bring to the table when it comes to navigating public school in particular, and come to find out the large public educational institutions in this state, that's something that we not only hope to get, well, I guess we didn't really even realize that we were going to sort of hit the jackpot with you, I guess.
Thanks.
Because
I
that's,
don't know that I can live up to that.
Well, no, truly, you know the state, you know the systems that are in place here in this state, and you also have other resources that you were able to put us in touch with to truly help Victoria. And we've actually seen a change in her a lot. I mean, not just academically, she's now feeling more successful, but she isn't as frustrated, so she has a slight better demeanor. She's still a teenager, which we understand, but at the same time, just to see some of these small successes right out of the gate, it has been such a just a relief as a parent more than anything else.
Well, a lot of times when people come in from out of state, you think your school district is going to get the records, and we found in this instance they didn't have the records. There had been a 504 and an IEP in place in the past, and the school had no knowledge of this. Every time Victoria tried to advocate for herself, she was shut down. So it just compounded the problem, I think, in a lot of ways. So I know we were able to get those records and actually provided them for the school. Florida has 67 school districts, and each school district has their own set of rules, which can be just unbelievable for a parent to try to find their way through that. And then, of course, you all had just moved to a new area and you didn't know anybody, so finding a good testing professional. You actually came over to our side of the state because I have somebody who's board certified in both child psychology as well as neuropsychology, so we know we're going to get a really good evaluation for Victoria, and we're going to know exactly what she needs to be successful.
I had already asked as well. I asked the school and I asked the pediatrician's office, and really didn't get anywhere with that. So it was kind of frustrating. No, I asked her, the counselor at school, as well as the actual school that she's going to, if they knew of anyone that did neuropsych evaluations for schools, because at that point I figured that she really did need to have that done again. And we had put in a 504 plan. I did push for that, and they did put that together for us, but it still was very meager.
Yeah, when I looked at it, it was empty because you had no diagnoses in there to connect up. So we know that she has, looking back at the old ones, she has dyslexia.
Right.
We know she has the inattentive type of ADHD, and we know that there's some math challenges there, and they were not doing anything really for her for that. So
and I got the feeling at the school as well that they ticked the boxes, because even when she was doing poorly at the end of first semester, we had this academic intervention meeting, and they put these interventions in place, but never followed through on a single one, and even put an intervention in place which they couldn't do. The rules of the school didn't even allow for what they had asked Victoria to do. So this poor kid was going to school during a time when she wasn't even supposed to be there, and she didn't know where she was supposed to be, and she kept telling me, "Mom, they won't let me go to so-and-so. I'm not supposed to be here." And I said, "But that's what they wanted you to do." It was,
And the day she got in big trouble was exactly over that. There was a substitute instead of the regular teacher that was there to support her, and they were nasty to her, and it was horrible. And they wrote her up on something she didn't deserve to be written up on, and it was.
She was suspended within 3 weeks of being in that school, just awful. Because of the exponential effect of being tardy for a detention and then not being able to find
that she didn't deserve.
That she didn't even deserve. It was ridiculous.